Welcome to Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. It's Tuesday morning. I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. We've got several days of severe weather all over the United States, the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and in the Great Plains, especially on Friday, it appears. Here's how it looks for today. There is a slight risk, that's the yellow area, of severe thunderstorms, any type of severe weather, really up in the southern Great Lakes and over into the Northeast, really the mid-Atlantic states. And you can see the scale here. So this is the slight risk, the yellow area. There's also another one of those down here in western Oklahoma, a small part of Texas, and a pretty large area of marginal risk of severe storms. That's the darker green. But we'll zoom in on what I think is going to be the primary area here for later today. I didn't see any tornado probabilities, nor do I think there probably should be for that Texas area. But here's Tuesday, later today especially. So this corridor from Illinois straight over into New York and Pennsylvania is under the gun for severe thunderstorms for today. And it looks like, and I'll show you the radar estimates here in a minute, it looks like this is going to primarily be a threat, I think, later in the evening out here. But let's take a look at the tornado threat. It's a broad brush 2% risk. And again, just to clarify, 2% means 2% chance of a tornado of any strength within a 25-mile circle. So again, a pretty broad brush painting here from eastern Illinois, including much of southern Michigan, central and northern Indiana, all the way over, encompassing almost all of New York State, large chunk of it, almost up to Albany, and then the northern half, basically, of Pennsylvania. The Storm Prediction Center does have also probabilities of the other severe weather types. So there's tornado, which always gets a lot of attention. That was the last graph. This one is severe hail. So anything above 1 inch in size is considered severe, 1 inch in diameter by the Weather Service. So they have a 15% chance of that happening with the initial storms, I think, out here where the air aloft is a little bit colder. And then if we go over and look at the severe wind outlook, anything at 59 miles per hour or greater is in this same, basically the slight risk area, the yellow area from the very first graph. So yeah, it looks like not the most potent system here, but certainly something worth watching for these folks up in the Northeast. If we look at CSU, that's Colorado State University's outlook, and they just conveniently summarize that in 3 panels for us. But here's the tornado outlook. That same green indicates the 2%, but they have just kind of a smattering, if you will, 5% outlooks there in around Erie and through parts of New York State later on tonight, with the hail threat actually extending down all the way from central Illinois all the way down into Oklahoma. And the wind threat, again, maximized in this area, almost the same area as the tornado threat. Nadocast here Nadocast has the emphasis here right around Cleveland and getting up to Pittsburgh and areas just north of there. That is actually at a 5% risk here for today. And I'm even looking at some guidance from the Storm Prediction Center that indicates a 5% area out here. And with subsequent updates to this, they may increase that depending on what they see. And just to be clear, when I issue these in the morning, this is based on the Storm Prediction Center's morning update for today. For the same day, they will update this several times, with another one coming up late this morning. So if you live up in that area, always be sure to check local forecast. And if I see it, I'll post it on YouTube as just a still image if it's significantly different. And so here's the HRRR simulated radar for 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tonight. So we have this kind of east-west squall line here, broken squall line really, and then this other one developing here. So these are different orientations. They can suggest different types of severe weather, depending on exactly what the instability and wind parameters are, but just kind of interesting. I think this one is meant to be the severe weather producer initially up in New York, and then this one will come along later. And as you see here, if we go to 9 p.m., 3 hours later, this doesn't look like it's as severe. And then we have another line developing here around Detroit. So all these are valid areas within the outlook parameters. So let's move ahead now to Wednesday. I'll just do the same thing. There's a broad brush double area. So there's a level 1, the leftovers of today, for tomorrow up through Columbus, Cincinnati, maybe over into the nation's capital. And then obviously there's this larger and somewhat more significant area out over the plains. We'll zoom in on that, level 1 and level 2, so that's marginal and slight risk. And the highest risk goes from North Texas straight through the heart of Oklahoma, bends back even, is to Kansas City now. So this is a little bit of an upgrade from yesterday's. And so the tornado part of that looks like this. There is a 5% chance, a little bit higher, of a tornado within a 25-mile circle in basically that same slight risk area. And a lot of this, I think, will be over, not necessarily overnight, but later in the evening when this threat develops, as the winds start to bend, if you will, more favorably in this area. See how that develops. I plan on a storm chase out here probably, although you can make a case tomorrow for up here. One of the storm chasers decisions, because I can't have both. I have to pick one. So we'll see how that goes. And I will be issuing a more technical outlook once the 12Z models come out probably around noon today on what my chasing decisions may or may not be. Now, this is the CSU panel for that. They highlight the tornado parameters. See what I'm saying up here in northern Missouri. It does bend back in areas where I'm initially thinking around here with a wind risk out through the Oklahoma City and just areas just west. If you're just kind of curious about tomorrow's 500 millibars setup, that it looks like this. So the best parameters for overall bulk shear are showing up on this part of the forecast. Now, this map doesn't show northern Missouri. This one's maybe a little bit more favorable. And there's just something about the Great Plains that tends to be a little bit of a magic factor, I think, with tornado development. The NAM, this is all NAM data for 4 p.m. tomorrow. This is the thing that concerns me. While the winds are fairly good here over North Texas and Oklahoma, southerly winds, again, later in the evening, these will back more out of the southeast, south-southeast. But kind of a nebulous low pressure area. I can't really define, a really good, the main low is up here behind the tag. So while that area might be good too, it'd be lacking in instability. This is the area I probably would favor here with backing of the winds and an okay dry line, pretty sharp, I guess. Instability has always been an issue. The Cape, and this is the mixed Cape. The surface Cape is a little bit better, but if I'm just looking at this today, I would target this area right here, Childress, around that area. I think it's Childress. No, it's Canadian. Keep getting those two Texas Sea places confused, but I probably would travel there. Now, this whole thing gets organized and moves northeast, so Thursday's outlook is actually a little heftier, and I think interesting, because while the SPC has put the level 2, the slight risk, and again, these same areas, which have gotten hit a lot. Remember, here's Kankakee right here where they had that crazy supercell several weeks back. There, not only are they under the gun today and tomorrow, but also Thursday. So it looks interesting. Also, this area to me is fascinating. I think this is probably something the SPC will decide, maybe if they look at enough data and get convinced of it, to back this slight risk up to this area here. Because of surface low development and some other factors I was looking at. So if we go at CSU's panel here, they put the highest tornado risk basically in Michigan, the Lower Peninsula, and along with the hail and wind risk, really, with a little bit more hail probabilities around Chicago, Milwaukee, those areas. And finally, the SPC did pull the trigger on the Friday severe weather outlook. So they do it differently once we get past the third day. Today is considered day 1, and then tomorrow is day 2, and Thursday is day 3. This is day 4, and they go all the way out to day 8 with these, actually. So it's pretty significant when some sort of probability shows up, anything, day 4 through 8. So this is a 15% probability in a broad brush from southern Iowa all the way down to Enid, Oklahoma, and all points in between. I probably will be chasing that day as well, and I'll detail that again in my separate video. And so CSU's panel changes too when we reach that. The nice thing about this is they show SPC's outlook on the right and some of their, machine learning, past setups, current, model data all goes into this, and it puts a bullseye of severe weather in general up in Iowa. So that's interesting. And that maximum is almost out of what SPC is forecasting, but there's, again, a lot of room. And this whole system moves northeast on Saturday, again, targeting these same areas that today are sort of under the gun. Now, finally, we'll look at the outlooks from NIU. Northern Illinois University produces the supercell composite outlook. It's a percentage probability of a supercell, which implies severe weather of some kind. So this sums up the next week, basically starting today, and it encompasses a lot of these outbreak areas pretty succinctly. It doesn't really talk much about New York and Pennsylvania, though, for today and for later on this week. So this would be considered week 1, next 7 days. The next 7 days after that, week 2, highlights the Texas, Oklahoma area. The traditional tornado and severe weather part for April is definitely in that area. And then if we go the week after that, April 14th through the 20th, some evidence of a carving out of some stable air here in general. Remember, this is an average over 7 days, but the same area here maybe shifted a little more east, maybe the dry line advancing a little bit more. So as a chase person for this year, these next 2 to 3 weeks are definitely prime, if you will, for chasing severe thunderstorms, and y'all probably be out a lot. That's the update for today. I'll bring another one like this to you tomorrow morning. Again, I'll probably be chasing on Wednesday, and I'll have an outlook of where I think my logic is on that, probably around noon today. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day 1 because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.